Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today we'll be doing something a bit different. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a gameplay of me doing the new Journey Up the Mountain lab, single-player lab. And initially, what you are seeing is me going through a video of actually playing it. And, you know, just going through the actual games and playing the Journey Up the Mountain. But having played it, I have some thoughts, and I think this shouldn't take too long, but I just have some thoughts that I want to share with the whole thing. We'll keep the video playing in the background so that, you know, you can sort of get an idea for what is going on. But you can see here that, you know, I've picked Diana, I've picked my ability, and now, you know, I'm facing... you know, I faced the different champions. The first one here is Lulu, and essentially, you know, you play this game against the AI. Now, let's talk about the whole idea first, right? Labs, I think, being single player is actually a really good idea. It's one that I think works quite well because, of course, Labs is meant to be a more casual way to play the game. It's not meant to be as intense. It's not meant to be as competitive, if you will, and so making a single player lab makes complete sense. 100% makes sense, because as soon as you add a player versus player format in, then you're always going to have some element of competitiveness, of people wanting to beat the other person, right? Whereas when you're playing the AI, you know, you can take as much time as you want. You get, you know, you get the AI, so, you know, you don't feel under necessarily too much pressure either to perform well. And to me, it sounded like a great idea going in. Now, in this lab, having just played it, there are some really cool features, like the fact that you get to choose like your champion. And I think the coolest part of it all is you get these abilities to choose from. They were on the very start of this video. That's where I'm choosing between the abilities, and they were just so cool. Like, it's such a cool, neat concept. And the AI bosses have their own little abilities as well. The champions, you know, you can see here that the Nexus is, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's doing something to that. And each one has its own little ability, and that's really cool. And the, you know, sort of idea that you get to choose exactly how you want to play, and, you know, you get to choose different cards as you go up the mountain as well. All of that was really cool. But this whole mode has one big problem, and that is that the competitiveness of the AI decks and the AI decision making is just not high enough to ever be that fun. It's more like sort of, you feel, you know, there's never any threat of, oh, I might lose this, you know, because the AI takes decisions that players just wouldn't. Like playing this flower child here after I've played that Diana, it just makes no sense, right? And so, and the AI is full of this, and I'm sure you'll see it in these games. The AI is constantly doing things that don't make sense, and I think that this is a problem with this game mode, where you have to feel a sense of, not even necessarily competitiveness, but just a challenge. The game doesn't feel like a challenge, and that kind of takes away the fun of the game. Because, of course, you want the game to be a challenge. You want to feel like, you know, that your decisions mean something, and that, you know, you wouldn't just win if you literally did anything, which is often what it feels like. You never feel like the AI is ever going to win because they play so suboptimally. And that really just kind of killed this for me. Like, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be so cool. I'm going to make 2 videos of it. I'm going to do it with Diana and Leona, and I'm going to make 2 videos on it, and I'm going to, you know, showcase what it's all like and everything like that. And I just feel like I've been let down somewhat because it's not a challenge enough. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm actually for single player things. Like, I think they should have single player labs. I think it's a really cool idea. What I wish it was more of a, maybe like a one turn challenge. Like, can you kill them in this turn? Like, can you find a way to find lethal with these cards and doing this? And, you know, they give you cards that you don't need, and they give you cards that that, you know, you have to use in a certain order and stuff like that. I think that would be a cool idea for a lab, and a good way of making it work, because of course you still have a sense of challenge at that point. But yeah, I don't know about this one. This wasn't that fun, and I hope that going forward they take the elements of it that are fun. I don't know if there's a way that they can like tune up the AI, or just give the AI like massive advantages. Like, you know, if you start the AI on 3 mana and you've got 1 mana, you know, that's a big advantage. You know, that might be tough to come back from in the early rounds. If you started with, you know, 2 health, that would be really interesting, right? And I think adding these sorts of challenges in, because of course you can't really do that against player v player. Like, if you started on 2 health, you couldn't have a player v player game, because a player, you know, would know how the best way to deal 2 health, whereas an AI might not know. But adding that challenge on yourself would be really interesting, because then in a situation like this first board state here, where they're going wide and stuff, if I only start with 2 health, I'm in trouble. All of a sudden, I'm in trouble. And like, if they play a Young Witch or Elusives, or you know, something with Overwhelm, now I'm in massive trouble, right? And I think that would be that's the kind of thing you need to do, rather than say, here, play a normal game. Like, it gives you these cool elements, and then it's like, here, play a normal game versus the AI, where you know you're going to win. And you get an ability as well that just, like, the ability I picked in this one was like, anytime you play a spell that activates Nightfall, or anytime you activate Nightfall, refill your spell mana and like draw a card. That's an insane ability. That's just like, and I picked that because I thought it was going to be a challenge. Maybe I should have picked the worst ability. So yeah, I don't really know about this mode. I think it's not that great, and I kind of hope that they fix that. I'm not holding my breath that they will, but I kind of hope going forward. I'm not against seeing single player labs, but it has to be more competitive than this. It has to be more of a challenge. As I say, there's many things that you can do. Mana disadvantages, health disadvantages, deck disadvantages. You know, you could start with 10 cards in your deck, and it's like, you've got to win within X rounds, right? It could be less than 10. It could be like, you know, you got 5 cards in your deck, and if you deck yourself, you will lose. You know, there's plenty of things that you can do here that, I mean, you know, that will change the game, really. And, you know, make it a challenge against AI. And I kind of hope they go in that direction if they do single player labs more. Because if they don't, it's kind of a waste of time. Like, I won't lie to you, these are kind of a waste of time. Like, you're going to waste 15 or so minutes playing these games against the AI, like, knowing that you're going to win. And yeah, it's just not that fun, is how I would put it. And yeah, that's all I've got to say really on the idea and the topic. I'm kind of disappointed. I kind of obviously wished that this could have been the most fun that you could have, but honestly, it's basically just playing against the AI. And what I hope they do going forward, if they are going to stick with single player labs, which I think they should, is, you know, find a way to up the difficulty level. Is obviously a start, and then also things like puzzles. Like, I really like those, like, you know, find mate in 3, like chess puzzles, you know, where you got to find lethal in 1 turn with, you know, a bunch of cards. I think that would be a really cool lab, if they gave you a bunch of scenarios. And yeah, it would just be really cool, especially if one is like super hard, because then whoever makes like the video on how you beat that last one, like that, just imagine that'd be so cool, right? Yeah, and that's about it. that's all I've got to say, really. Bit disappointed with the lab, especially considering I was kind of hoping to look forward to this lab and hope that it could see me through the next 2 weeks whilst Lee Sin Bastion runs around destroying everyone. But it seems it is not to be. So I guess with that, I will love you and leave you. Thank you all so much for watching this little rant about the new lab. And yeah, I'll see you next time with maybe a proper video. So yeah, have a really nice day.